Hey everyone, I'm Ross Trelevant, and this is another Sprague Spotlight interview. Today I'm with Ed Belliston. Ed, can you introduce yourself to everyone?
Yes, I'm Ed Belliston. I work out of the Tukwilla office currently. There's been Tacoma, Seattle, Tukwilla. I too many offices, but I've been with the company for 22 years, and it's good to be here.
Well, 22 years ago, we had two offices in the Puget Sound. It was less confusing. At least you haven't been here long enough where we had one office in the Puget Sound.
Correct.
What's your origin story? 22 years ago, things were a lot different. How did you find Sprague? How did you get involved with us?
That was an interesting story. I was selling electronic components and got let go, um, and so was unemployed, randomly looking for a job and trying to keep my head above water. And as part of selling electronic components, every now and then I'd go back and help ship and receive. And so I knew how to package things. And I saw an ad in the paper for Sprague Pack Solutions. It was a misprint. And I thought, well, I can package. So I quickly put together a resume, and it was on this horrible, horrible paper. It's the only stuff I had at the time, and sent it in, and ended up coming in for an interview, and had three interviews, and started in sales for Sprague Pest Solutions. So
That's so
it
funny.
wasn't the packaging equipment at all. So,
So, was your background wasn't electronics before that, right? You were a teacher, I think.
well, I was a teacher. Yeah, I taught high school for 3 years, and then sold electronic components, and so I did a little selling. So I actually ended up it was for a sales position. So I was
Now,
hired on sales for a year.
who hired you then?
That would have been Greg and Jeff.
Oh,
Jeff.
okay. So Greg and Jeff Miller hired you as salesperson. Okay, I wasn't sure if it was a sales manager from back then, or if it was, or who it was. So
I think that was prior to sales managers. If
okay,
I'm not, no, there was a short guy that ended up going to Copasan, but I don't think I interviewed with him to
okay.
begin. I can't remember his name now.
Now who? So all right. So obviously Greg and Jeff Miller, they're obviously still here at Sprague. Who else did you work with at the time that's still here, 22 years ago?
Well, let's see. Yeah, corporate. There's not a lot of people left. There's your dad and Larry, of course. Um,
My dad and
and,
Larry being the same person.
yep. Oh, your dad, Larry, and Alfie, and of course Jeff Weir was around, who kind of still is.
Yeah.
Uh,
Did Dave
um,
Smith train you?
uh, no, I actually didn't get to ride at all with Dave Smith because he was too far south, I guess.
Oh
I
yeah.
I trained with Tim Fuchek. I don't know if you
Oh
remember
yeah, I
Tim.
remember Tim. Yeah.
And that back when he was still a great technician, I
Yeah.
rode him and had some those were some fond memories. I learned a lot from Tim, and it was sad to see how his career ended, but he
Wow.
was a good guy at the time, and yeah, lots of fun stuff. I speak Spanish, and we gone to places where there was some Spanish speaking, caught some girls checking him out, and they were all talking in Spanish and didn't realize I understood what they were saying, so it was pretty funny.
That's pretty funny. Oh wait, was it you and Ray Manello then in sales?
Yes, Ramonello was the other guy in sales. Yes, and
Wow.
it was tough starting as a new guy with going out and walking around buildings and to see if they had pest control, and there would be Sprague equipment at 80% of the stuff you'd go to look at, or you'd come up with a lead and find out that no, Ramo's been working that for a couple of years already.
That's
So
awesome.
it was hard to find stuff, but we
Was
managed to find a
was
little bit.
Keith in sales too at the time, or was he already doing something else?
I replaced Keith in sales is when he took the step up to be management down in Portland.
Wow, legendary. So your sales partner is Ray, and you replaced Keith. Wow,
Yeah,
that is some. There's a lot of Sprague and industry experience in those three people, yourself
right.
included. Unbelievable.
Some
Oh,
pretty
cool.
big shoes to fill. So
Yeah. All right. So along the ways, you've had the opportunity to work at several different offices. We just named them different things and split them up. Tell me a little bit about that, how you moved that around.
well, sales were going fairly well, but then not as good as they should have, and so we switched to pest control, or sorry, technician up in the Seattle office, and worked for Randy Warner. He was the manager up then. Him and before I came, him and Miller had switched places.
Yep.
So he was the manager up there and worked up in Seattle and did it up there for 3 years, and then went back down to Tacoma as a technician.
Yeah, the
And
commute was a little shorter.
yeah, a little bit. They did after a while did send me up to Tukwilla and Kent, but
Yeah, when I was managing the Seattle office, you were the nearest technician that worked in Tacoma, and I had to ask you some favors from time to time. You remember helping me out at all?
oh yes, yes, there were a few times I remember meeting you on a Saturday morning to get some supplies from you so I could go do some accounts. And well, we helped. I've helped the Portland office down in southern Washington as well a few times. So
Yeah,
yeah,
you've been awesome to help cover work and to help get things done and help clean some stuff up that wasn't exactly as it was supposed to be. And I knew I could rely on you to help me fix some of those things.
and
When
I
struggling with keeping enough people on the team, which was really important for me.
yeah, I have been known to be the guy to clean stuff up. I'm getting a little tired of it, but I think we're doing a little better now. We're getting people that are working harder, and you don't have to clean up as much anymore. So
Well,
which
I
is
mean, in this industry, if you don't have a commitment to quality, you don't usually last very long. And unfortunately, people who have been around 22 years have probably cleaned up a few things here and there. So that's for sure. But what's a story? I love the Tim Fuchek story. What's another story, or what's something interesting or outrageous that you've been involved with over the years?
well, there's the fast food joint up in Burien that called late in the afternoon because they had some rats in their dumpster, and I ended up just jumping in the dumpster with a crowbar, and I won. It was 16 to 0. I won. Uh, Needless to say, I worked a little late that day. My parents were coming home to town. They were all waiting for me to get home for dinner. I got home late, and I was covered in blood.
Oh my goodness!
But I won,
Wow,
Dagnan.
wow, that is fascinating. That is just different than I expected you to say.
I had called my boss and said, "Well, what do I do? There's like 20 rats running around in this dumpster that's got one bag of garbage and a 5-gallon bucket." He goes, "Well, a rubber hose works well." So I don't have a rubber hose. So he said, "Good luck." So
So I had a very similar experience when I was 18, and I had never caught anything that was alive. And I opened a catch-all, and there was a mouse in it. And I closed it up, and I used remember the Nextel phones, like beep beep, whatever.
oh yeah, the Nextel.
Yeah, I radioed Tom Steiger in the Spokane office. I was in Spokane at the time, and I said, "What do I do?" And I didn't know that he's standing in the office and like 6 people can hear him. And so it's like 18-year-old insecure Ross asking, "What do I do when I catch a mouse?" as a pest control technician, to a pest control technician surrounded by other pest control technicians. And they are all laughing hysterically at me as he, presses the button and goes, you kill it. And so I was that's one of my, maybe not my best stories, but it was embarrassing. So.
I did enjoy one time we went to a big flour mill. Won't mention any names, to do a fumigation, and Miller would come and do them then, and we only did certain floors, and so we'd hang all the plastic and set up all the tanks and the shooters, and And I remember going in with me and Miller. We put the scubas on and went in and turned them all on together. That was kind of fun.
And it's kind of eerie. I've done it too in Spokane with Skip Bellinger, as was the manager at the time, and the temperature drops. You know you're being exposed to gas. That if your mask isn't on right, it's a feeling. It's amazing.
I felt safe though. Miller had done it plenty of times. So
Yeah,
and he was big enough. He would get me out if anything went wrong.
that's probably true. He would have drug you
I
out.
remember that was back in the days before the PDAs. And so while we were there, we also went ahead and all of us just tag teamed up and checked all the rodent equipment. And you just hand dated it. And so we just all split up.
Oh
And
yeah, you could do that. A giant account that would take hours. You could do it with that many people in just a few minutes.
yeah, yeah, we had it done in about a half hour. It was kind of funny.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Who's when you think of all the people you've been exposed to at Sprague and others in your career here in the 22 years, who's had a big impact on your career?
Well, there's two that I can think of right off the top of my head, and that would be Bobby. Bobby for sure. They don't come any better than Bobby, and what I mean, he knows everything, and he's forgotten more than I know. So I tell that to the new guys. I've forgotten more than you know, but Bobby certainly has, and but every now and then it'll come clear. It's we'll miss him when he goes, but here pretty soon. But he
Oh, he somebody commented to me that we did almost an hour on our spotlight with him, and somebody said, "Hey, that was a great volume one. When are you do the next few volumes?" So Bobby knows a lot.
just starting with Bobby, but he has been a great help to me and was wonderful. He was the trainer back when I started and just taught us very well. I know I was so nervous to go take the test. And he was telling Miller I was going to ace it, and I was mad at him because why would you say that? And he could, I've got all these questions, and he said, "Yeah, but you're asking the right ones." And he knew, and I did. I went down and passed them all in one shot, so no problem. But that was Bobby's help, and then he was invaluable at the airport when things really went sideways, and then we had to throw all kinds of people at it. And Bobby went up there, and we all had things we had to do, and we respond to safety events, and so we were all kind of busy, and we just say, "Hey, Bobby, just go wherever you want and spend some time." And he would just go spend all day and do all three levels in one section and find all kinds of stuff. And then when you'd end up having, "Hey, I got some time, I'm going to go do that," and you couldn't find a spot that didn't have a Bobby sticker because he'd already been there. And all the tight little spots where I'm not going in there, Bobby would crawl in there. He was just amazing. He single-handedly really took care of the situation at the airport more than anybody else. It was Bobby.
That's so awesome. And who was the other one?
That would have to be either Greg Schatz or Rick. I've worked with Greg a lot of time, and he was funny because early on, I'd call him a lot. "Hey, I'm at this situation. This is what's going on. What do you suggest?" And he would never just tell me an answer. He'd say, "Well, what do you think you should do?" Well, I would do this, but is that right? Tell me. And he'd say, "Yeah, do that." You're good. You know how to do it.
That's awesome. It made you do the thinking, which is good. They'd probably teach you for the next time. Oh, that's right. I already know how to do this.
Yeah, and then he's also good when you need a second opinion and somebody else that you need some backup. Greg's a great guy to be your backup, and
yeah,
and Rick I've only known for a couple of years, but he's had a great influence on me too. He's been just he's honest, he's upfront, he is he doesn't beat around the bush. He tells you like it is. Sometimes you don't want to hear it, but at least you're getting the truth out of him, and you know where you stand, and there's no question at all. So I really like that. I know that when we needed an ops manager at the airport, and they asked him, and And he said, well, you know, it should be Ed. And I remember AJ's answer to him was, well, Ed doesn't want to do it. And they hadn't even asked me, but they knew. Yeah, Ed didn't really necessarily want to be an ops manager back then. So I feel my role more, and Rick's really helped that happen, is as a supporter, not an agreeer, but a supporter. If you come up with a plan and I don't agree with it, I'm going to tell you I don't agree with it and I don't think it's right. But if we come up with a plan and we all agree, uh, I'll be there to help make it happen. And that's so I think my best role is supporting, and then maybe, you know, doing a little teaching like Bobby does now too. But that's what I feel my role is. I don't, you know, not that I be a ops manager? Yeah, I probably could, but I don't think that's where my best strengths lie necessarily. So,
Well, I want to say thank you for me. When I was running the Seattle office and I needed help, you were always there for me, and I appreciate that. When I was a young technician, you were there for me too, and I believe you even maybe corrected a few of my mistakes when you took over one of my routes at one point. And
the neat thing about your mistakes, though, Ross, was that they weren't on purpose. That's the worst thing when you're correcting people who just do stuff on purpose wrong. And you know, you didn't have anything that was that horrible, and it wasn't anything on purpose. It was just you needed a little more time. So,
well, then you called me and tell me about each one of them, which helped me find those mistakes and those other things when I was doing other work. And I think it helped the quality in Seattle all along. So it was really one of those things that I appreciate. And I've always appreciated our relationship. And I really just thank you for all of your work with me and with Sprague for all the years. I just really appreciate you.
well, I appreciate that, Ross. You've been good to me too. So, goes both
Thanks
ways.
for joining me today on the Spotlight. I appreciate it.
All right. Have a good rest of your day.
You too.